Tight end, who are your top five?
So let's see. I have Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson number 2 over Mark Andrews. That was crazy. Mark Andrews number 3, Pat Frymouth, and Dalton Schultz.
Yep, I still have Andrews too, but yeah, Kelsey,
Oh,
Andrews, Hawkinson, Fryermuth, Schultz. So same top five.
yeah, I guess last year, I feel like Andrews numbers went up with
Yeah,
Huntley
they
under
did.
center. So maybe I'll factor that in by the end of the week. But just Hawkinson is just popping in my model this week. Plus, it's a revenge game against the
It
Lions,
is.
so had to give him that little boost too.
Who you high on?
So I'm back on the Greg Dulcich train. He is my tight end 7 to begin the week. I had maybe jumped the gun a little bit too quick to write him off. Again, I think, with Russell Wilson struggling, that certainly hurts his upside. But Dulcich ended up having his best game of the season. He caught 6 passes for 85 yards. And just with Cortland Sutton banged up, Dulcich could be Wilson's number 1 target this week. And Nathaniel Hackett even said that Dulcich is basically a wide receiver in their offense. So this should be a pass-heavy game script against the Chiefs if they want to keep up with them. So assuming Sutton will play this week and be a little banged up. So I love Dulcich this week. And just the tight end position has been just an absolute disaster lately. So it's kind of rough once you get outside the top 5 or so. But yeah, Dulcich is back in my top 10 at tight end 7 this week.
Yeah, he's my tight end 7 as well, so I like it. I'm going with Daniel Bellinger. He came back
Nice.
to run a route on 83% of the dropbacks for Daniel Jones, so I think he's a guy that could step up this week against Philly. Just doing more work on the interior against those zones. So the fact that he came back off a serious injury and ran around on 83% of the dropbacks, and the game before he got hurt, he had run around on 81% of the dropbacks, which was a
Mm-hmm.
season high at that point. So this seems like his new role where he's just going to be an every down player for the Giants. And we know that they're kind of hurting for options out here. So he caught, 5 passes last week, didn't do much in the yardage department, but if he gets a touchdown or pops one big play, he should be pretty useful. So I have him around tight end 15 this week.
Yeah, no, I like that, Colin. This kind of goes with Slayton having a really tough matchup, Isaiah Hodgins having a tough matchup, so it could funnel targets to Bellinger. And they didn't really use as many 3 wide sets as I thought last week. Richie James only ran route 55% of the time, so we could see Bellinger pop off for like 4 to 5 receptions here just based on the matchup.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll be in there regardless. And then it's just like, the other 2 tight ends, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
Vanette was, he got signed off the street, and I think he operated as the number 2 tight end. But if anything, I think his routes would go
Yeah.
down if James is go back up. All right, who are you low on?
So I'm low on Foster Moreau this week. Just totally bombed last week. He caught 1 pass, but it went for 32 yards. That
Yeah.
seems to be the theme with him. But his routes run rate dipped to 70%, which is still very good, especially with the guy that we're considering, streaming tight
He
end.
missed a couple plays. He got hurt.
Oh, he got hurt,
Yeah.
but I mean, he wasn't doing much when he wasn't there either. But this week, the Raiders could have a pretty run-heavy game plan. They're what, 5-6 point favorites against the Rams, so that's gonna lower Moreau's floor a bit. So I have him as my tight end 14. And Darren Waller could return next week. So if you've been using Moreau, this would be the week probably to cut him if there's a better option out there, because this is probably the last chance he has at producing. So yeah, unfortunately, his underlying metrics were good, but just after last week, he's outside my top 12.
Yeah, he's been tough to peg. I mean, yeah, he does have that big play upside, but the Raiders, their passing game is so concentrated too. It's just like Devontae Jacobs. I am low on Tyler Conklin this week. He's the ECR tight end 12. And I did like him last week. He did get 7 targets, but didn't do pretty much anything with them. But this week, against Buffalo, that's just not a team that I want to be streaming tight ends against. Buffalo is number 2 in DVOA against the tight end position, and it's always been the case for them with Sean McDermott. They've always been really good against tight ends, and they still have, even though Micah Hyde is out, they still have Poyer, so still a tough matchup. And Milano is another guy that can cover tight end, so they have quite a few guys at the different levels that can make life tough on tight ends. So even though Conklin popped for the targets, last week. I don't think this is a good matchup for him. I'd much rather play, a guy on the outside like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, where'd you have him again? I have him tight end 15.
Like
Even
17.
Lower. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he's outside. Yeah, he's tight end 17 for me.
Makes sense.
He's tight end 12 in consensus. Yeah, tight end 12 in
That's
consensus.
way too high.
Yeah. So I think I don't think he's on the streaming radar this week. All right. Where are you going for the prop?
Let's go with TJ Hawkinson. Revenge game against the Lions. Had a bit of a down game last week, only caught 4 balls for 33 yards, but just really good underlying usage. So I have his prop at 50.5. You going over or under that?
Ooh, I have it right at 50. I guess. Oh, he did run around on 92%. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go
Damn.
over. I have to rump his routes run up 1 or 2 because yeah, he ran around on 92% last week. So yeah. So I'll go a little bit over with Hawkinson.
It's in Detroit too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's indoors. I do think they kind of maybe give him an extra target or two just to let him show out. And they throw a lot anyway, so it's not like they can't. Because Minnesota's that type of team. I mean, they get up there in the pass attempts most weeks. So yeah,
this might be the rare time they have a trailing game script too.
Yeah,
I think Stuckey and I are already prepared to lose on the Lions this week. I was actually surprised to see it all the way up to -2.5. But still like them. I would say up until 3. I still like the Lions here.
Yeah, it's such a weird line. Yeah, I'll probably stay away because I like to fade the teams, the unlucky, the unlucky teams when they're actually getting points, and it's like the opposite now. It's like the Lions.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it kind of happened last week too with the Well, I guess both them and the Jaguars have been unlucky, but yeah, it's a sharp line. It definitely is a sharp line.
Yeah.